Minister of the court Lieu Shi? Liu Shi memorized the name, but didn't think much of it. Just found it slightly coincidental that this person shared her surname. Must be fate. She clasped her hands and thanked the magistrate. Thank you for your advice. I'll leave early tomorrow. I bid you farewell. Please take care of your health, both you and Lady Zheng. In just a few days, Magistrate Zheng had genuinely come to admire Liu Shi's kind and compassionate heart. He added, about the ancient Baitan wood, I'll send soldiers to escort it directly to the Hu family mansion in a few days. You can rest assured and leave first. Carrying a precious object like that can easily bring disaster. Liu Shi understood the principle. An ordinary man is blameless, but if he carries a precious jade, he invites calamity. She knew the magistrate meant well. The ancient Baitan wood was surely extremely valuable. Carrying it would invite danger. Not long after, Liu Shi heard news of a magistrate Zheng with a bodhisattva's heart who had resigned from office to live in seclusion. He used all his wealth to do good deeds, saving people from famine and drought. Every day, he and his wife cooked porridge and distributed it to the hungry and poor. Leaving the Zheng family, Liu Shi felt both joy and sorrow. Joyful that she had helped them somewhat, but sad that she couldn't cure them completely. Lady Zheng would still lose 3 years of life. Seeing this, the eldest young master comforted her. Don't be sad. You've done your best. If you want to help more people, you must grow stronger. Liu Shi nodded. Yes, I understand. Though she said this, the eldest young master knew she was still sad. To cheer her up, he suggested. Today is already the 14th. How about we stay in the province one more day? I'll take you to this place to celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival. In her hometown, Liu Shi celebrated Mid-Autumn every year. Lion dances, lantern processions, and then mooncake feasts. She wondered what would be different at the place he was taking her. Where is it? In the northern part of Lang region, bordering the Song Kingdom, there's a village called the Boundary of the Two Realms. This gate opens twice a year, first on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, and second on the 15th day of the 8th lunar month, which is Mid-Autumn Festival. This allows the living and the dead to meet. Since Mid-Autumn is the festival of reunion, if you come here, you might meet the one you're seeking. Liu Shi exclaimed, Oh, and clapped her hands excitedly. I've never been there before. I'd love to go. But what about Mother? It's fine. You've completed your mission well. You can have Tai return first. The village is nearby. I'll take you to enjoy the beautiful scenery of your homeland. We'll arrive just in time for tonight. Liu Shi pouted. You're so convenient. Now I'm your personal carriage driver. Though she complained, she enjoyed having private time with him. So she still called Tai over and told him to return first, reporting to Madame Hu that she and the young master had some matters to attend to and would return later. The carriage cover had been specially treated with herbs to shield the young master's spirit from sunlight, allowing him to lie comfortably inside, watching Liu Shi diligently drive the horse. That entire day, Liu Shi felt immense happiness. She felt as if she and her husband were just an ordinary, simple couple like any other, celebrating a holiday together by attending a festival. As dusk fell, Liu Shi arrived at Shang Village. The entrance to Shang Village passed through a narrow mountain cleft. Liu Shi sensed the feng shui here was unusual, yin energy stronger than yang. No wonder it could allow ordinary living people to meet the dead. Everywhere in Shang Village, lanterns were hung, not just the usual red, but also white lanterns woven in. The atmosphere felt mysterious and hazy. As soon as she arrived, the eldest young master transformed into his physical form, wrapping his arms around Liu Shi from behind and saying with a smile, Right now, I can maintain this form for about 12 hours each week. I'll make the most of the time with you. As he spoke, he tightly intertwined his hand with hers, then led her into the crowd to enjoy the festival. This happiness was so sudden and overwhelming. Liu Shi smiled non-stop, pulling him from one stall to the next, thrilled like a child experiencing a festival for the first time. Seeing both the living and the dead mingling in the crowd, Liu Shi turned to him curiously. What if evil ghosts or spirits harm people here? This area has its own guardian deity. If any ghost dares harm a human here, they'll be punished until their soul is shattered. Liu Shi nodded and smiled. She never thought a place like this could exist. Along the street, there were stalls for both the living and the dead. The rules for buying and receiving goods were the same as at the Yang market before, only this Mid-Autumn Festival was much livelier. The furnaces beside the vendors never stopped, with smoke rising continuously. Mooncakes! Mooncakes! Get your mooncakes here. Seeing Lieu Shi looking at the stall where a vendor was calling out, the eldest young master asked, "Want to go eat something? Consider it a reward for being my driver all afternoon." Lieu Shi saw the shopkeeper's warm, friendly face and nodded, stepping in to support him. "Shopkeeper, 1 mooncake, please." Coming right up, the shopkeeper was a middle-aged man who had been selling here for many years. He rarely saw a young couple come together. Usually during mid-autumn at Shang village, one of the two was already dead, and they came each year to meet again. If fate allowed, they might reunite. "Here's a round, full mooncake with green bean paste. I wish you two a long and happy life together." The shopkeeper placed the mooncake on the table, blessing the couple. Lieu Shi smiled and replied, "Thank you, shopkeeper." The shopkeeper had already cut the mooncake into 8 small pieces. Lieu Shi took a bite. The rich, fragrant taste of the baked crust and green bean paste blended in her mouth. She praised the shopkeeper without reservation. "Uncle, your mooncakes are really delicious." The shopkeeper happily chatted. "You flatter me. I'm actually the worst baker in my family. My brothers all run large shops in the capital. But is this your first time visiting here?" Before Lieu Shi could answer, a customer at the next table said, "Shopkeeper, please settle my bill." The shopkeeper quickly went over, waving his hand. "Oh, your mooncake has already been paid for." Hearing this, the young man urgently grabbed the shopkeeper's hand, pleading, "Please tell me, is it really her?" The shopkeeper sighed. "She asked me to tell you not to come looking for her again. Your fate together has ended." Sure enough, Lieu Shi saw the young woman's ghost standing beside the man, repeatedly trying to touch him, but being repelled by the threefold fire emanating from his body. This feeling of separation between the living and the dead made Lieu Shi deeply uncomfortable, as if her heart were being squeezed until she couldn't breathe. She turned to the eldest young master. "Is there no way to help them meet?" The eldest young master stroked Lieu Shi's head and smiled. "You really like helping people, don't you?" "Hee, well, before doing anything, I'll always ask you first. If it's something I can help with, I'll do my best." Lieu Shi saw the young man sadly leaving and was about to chase after him when the eldest young master held her back. "Finish your mooncake first. No need to rush. I know where he's going." After saying goodbye to the shopkeeper, the eldest young master led Lieu Shi through the bustling street to an ancient, evergreen tree with a thick, lush canopy, surely hundreds of years old. This is the dwelling place of the local deity, called the Tree of Fate. If a living person wishes to meet someone from the underworld, they can come here, write the deceased's name and birth date on a bamboo tablet, and tie it to one of the strings already hanging from the branches. Among the crowd, Lieu Shi finally spotted the young man clasping his hands in prayer, preparing to tie his bamboo tablet to the tree. Every mid-autumn festival, many people come here to hang tablets. Do you think everyone gets to meet the one they want? Lieu Shi now noticed that among a forest of white strings, only 3 were red. "I already told you, the underworld has strict rules. If everyone could directly meet and talk to the dead, wouldn't the world be in chaos? So only a few who hang their tablets on the red strings will have their tablets delivered to the deity. He will then allow them to meet for 1 incense stick's time." "Wait a moment, sir." Seeing the young man about to hang his tablet on a white string, Lieu Shi quickly stopped him. She pointed to the red string high above. "Why not hang your tablet on this one?" The young man laughed bitterly. "All right. This is the 3rd year in a row I've come. I know I won't see her, but I still want to try. You two are truly happy. Life is short, cherish it." The young woman's ghost, realizing Lieu Shi could see her, guessed she wasn't an ordinary person and quickly bowed in gratitude. "Thank you. For 3 years, I couldn't reincarnate in peace. There were still things I hadn't told him. Thank you for giving me this chance." The ghost waved goodbye to Lieu Shi and followed the young man. Watching them leave, Lieu Shi felt a sense of loss and asked the eldest young master, "If they're fated to be apart in this life, can they be together in the next?" The eldest young master helplessly replied, "For a couple to be together, many factors must align. Besides fate, there must be karmic debt. With fate and debt, to last a lifetime, they still need love and righteousness. They may love each other in this life, but it's not certain they'll love each other in the next." Lieu Shi wanted to ask more, but suddenly the eldest young master's expression changed. He counted on his fingers, frowned, and said, "No good. The worm god has sent soldiers to capture us. This place is under the underworld's jurisdiction. I'm bound by restrictions. We must leave as soon as possible." The eldest young master tightly grabbed Lieu Shi's hand, pulling her to run quickly through the crowd to escape the territory of Shang village. But unfortunately, the crowd was too dense, making it impossible for them to move fast. "Have you seen this person?" The voice from behind startled Lieu Shi. The young master quickly pulled her to hide behind a corner, peeking out to see a piece of paper with her face drawn on it. Lieu Shi was about to crouch down and smear some dirt on her face when he chuckled. "With a face like yours, you'd attract even more attention. We can't go back the same way. The officials are already waiting. Fortunately, Shang village has 2 exits. Come, we'll go the opposite way. Hold my hand tightly and don't look back, understand?" "Yes." Lieu Shi obeyed. With him beside her, she felt much safer. After escaping the crowd, they reached a wooden bridge spanning a large lake. The lake's surface shimmered, and Lieu Shi saw many people along the shore releasing lanterns. "Another time, I'll take you to the capital to release lanterns. The festival there is even grander than this." Lieu Shi knew he was comforting her. She nodded and smiled. "As long as I'm with you, I can go anywhere." Suddenly, she saw from afar the faint reflection of a girl's figure beneath a lantern's flame. Lieu Shi finally understood how the living and the dead could meet. First, bamboo tablets selected a few fortunate souls. Then, the flame of the lantern summoned the spirit of the deceased, allowing them to appear and speak their final farewells to the living. Lieu Shi could only sigh and wish them reunion in the next life. The new path the eldest young master mentioned also passed through a narrow mountain cleft, but the walls were even narrower than on the way in. No wonder no one used this path. It was easy to fall with just one misstep. Knowing Lieu Shi feared heights, he didn't walk too fast, occasionally reminding her, "Be careful not to trip. There's a rock sticking out here." At a sharp turn, he suddenly stopped and sighed, looking at Lieu Shi. "We can't avoid them anymore." The eldest young master stepped forward, shielding Lieu Shi behind him. The Chongzu blocked the entire exit, its body swollen like a large jar, its flesh soft and slimy. It looked up at the eldest young master and Lieu Shi, yellowish fluid dripping from its mouth. Its body stretched and opened into hand-sized holes. Inside, clusters of white worm-like Chongshi appeared. These were the ones that went out to steal human yang energy and absorb even ghost souls, extremely dangerous. A small worm perched on the Chongzu's head, buzzing and pointing at Lieu Shi. It didn't speak aloud, but Lieu Shi could understand its meaning. "It's that wretch. In the Zheng household, she killed us." "It's her." Lieu Shi frowned. Could this worm have accidentally escaped when she expelled the Chongshi from Lady Zheng? She had caused trouble again. But Lieu Shi knew this wasn't the time to blame herself. She had to find a way for both her and the young master to escape safely. If they lingered, other ghost enforcers or Een soldiers might arrive, making it even more dangerous. She never expected this disaster was caused by her carelessness. When expelling the Chongshi from Lady Zheng, one must have escaped and now came for revenge. Though in Shang village, the underworld's restrictions bound him, the eldest young master wasn't afraid. He raised his hand to shield Lieu Shi and said, "Don't be afraid. Step back. I can handle these Chongshi." Previously, to stay by Lieu Shi's side, the eldest young master had abandoned his former cultivation and started over with the 5 elements ghost technique. Right now, he was only a first element ghost, able to control earth. But these Chongshi feared fire most. When arriving, he had noticed scattered graves along the mountainsides. It seemed he could only borrow ghost fire from the will-o'-the-wisps in those graves. Though it would consume much of his spiritual energy and damage his ghost body, it didn't matter, as long as he could fully protect Lieu Shi. The eldest young master raised both hands to the sky, then touched his forehead, murmuring, "Borrow fire." As he spoke, he flicked his hand. Bright dots appeared at his fingertips. Ethereal flames, what humans called will-o'-the-wisps, emerged, flickering toward the worms. The stench of burning and the sound of hissing filled the mountain cleft, creating an eerie noise like 100 ghosts wailing in the forest. The eldest young master pressed his advantage, his entire hand blazing as he formed a claw and plunged it into the Chongshi's head. But the Chongzu wasn't afraid. It spat out a wave of toxic gas. The gas disrupted the ghost fire, causing the young master to freeze for a few seconds. That was all the Chongshi needed. It was already too close. Its 2 front arms stabbed straight into the young master. Thick, filthy Een energy surged forward. The young master barely raised his arm to block, but the impact sent his entire arm flying backward with a burst of dark force. He grew furious. "You scoundrels! The eldest young master raised his hand and cast a spell. Earth and rocks surged up, covering the Chongzu's body, making it flinch. With it immobilized, he pulled out a peachwood branch and struck it repeatedly. The Chongzu's flesh was torn apart, flying off in chunks, splattering everywhere. In pain and rage, the creature trembled and let out an extremely shrill scream. A thick black smoke spewed from its mouth. The young master quickly retreated. It's Shernyen, corpse thought. This hard-to-kill thing. Shernyen was the consciousness of the corpse. When a person died, their soul went to the afterlife, but the body could form its own consciousness. When corpse transformation occurred, this Shernyen was born. It wrapped tightly around the young master, squeezing harder and harder. The Chongzu opened its mouth wide, trying to pull the young master in. He was dragged close, using the peachwood branch to pry open its jaws. He cast a ghost spell. First element ghost awakened spiritual power. The earth clinging to the Chongzu's body instantly hardened. This was a living earth casting of the Chongzu. In agony, it roared fiercely. Its teeth clamped down, but the young master pried its jaws open, preventing it from biting. Its mouth was full of black, bloody foam, ready to suck him in. He pointed at the rod and struck it deep into its flesh. Earth poured from the outside, flooding the holes and filling the Chongzu's belly. In unbearable pain, it let out a long scream. The young master quickly retreated, putting distance between them. Seeing it couldn't defeat the young master, the Chongzu roared, calling ghost enforcers. In an instant, mist appeared behind Lieu Shi. As the mist cleared, the ghost enforcers emerged. The leader, seeing the Chongzu nearly dead, angrily pointed at the young master. Daring ghost! How dare you harm the worm god's servant? After defeating the Chongzu, the young master was exhausted. The layer of earth forming his ghost body was beginning to crumble from the earlier fire's heat. Still, he chanted a spell to resist, determined not to revert to a ghost spirit. Today, all of you are doomed. If you're wise, surrender and return to the underworld. Your crimes may be reduced. The young master scoffed. Only a fool would believe these ghost enforcers. He tightly held Lieu Shi's hand and asked, "Do you trust me?" Lieu Shi knew the situation was critical. The young master's current strength couldn't defeat these ghost enforcers. They were already spreading an iron soul net, a trap she had once experienced at the Yang market, capable of capturing humans, ghosts, demons, or spirits. Nothing could escape. Lieu Shi turned to him, smiling. Her face was calm, without a trace of fear. "This life, I've married you as your wife. Of course I trust you. I'm willing to live and die by your side." The young master nodded, complex emotions rising in his heart. For the first time, someone was so devoted to him. He smiled and replied, "Don't be afraid. I'll protect you." The lead ghost enforcer, enraged that they ignored him, immediately ordered his subordinates. "Quickly capture them. This soul net can kill even immortals, let alone lowly creatures like you." The ghost enforcers spread their net, forcing Lieu Shi and the young master back toward the cliff wall. Just as the net was about to cover Lieu Shi, the young master sharply pulled her behind him. As a result, both lost balance and fell off the cliff. The wind on the mountain was too strong. Lieu Shi's ears rang, and she only faintly heard the ghost enforcer's angry roars from above. Damn it! They escaped again. Lieu Shi thought she would die here, her bones shattered, becoming a wandering ghost. Would she still be able to stay with the young master? The young master seemed to read her thoughts. "I said I wouldn't let you die." As he spoke, he pushed her upward, using his entire body to shield her. If his ghost body shattered, he would lose all his cultivation, but this was the best way he could protect Lieu Shi. Hearing this, Lieu Shi panicked and struggled. "No, don't do this. You'll be in danger. It's fine if I die. I can become a ghost and cultivate to stay with you." The young master didn't respond. He focused his mind, maintaining the layer of earth as a shield to protect Lieu Shi. Boom! Neither the young master nor Lieu Shi expected a small river below the cliff. The icy water soaked into their skin, shocking Lieu Shi awake. The young master's ghost body gradually dissolved into soft mud. Lieu Shi reached out, but only grasped a handful of mud dissolving into the current. Young master, where are you?" Fortunately, Lieu Shi knew how to swim. She swam on the surface while anxiously calling his name. Hunan struggled to use the last of his consciousness to form a small piece of earth on Lieu Shi's head and said with difficulty, "Get to shore quickly. This is the river of forgotten souls. If you're exposed to its energy too long, your life will be in danger." The River of Forgotten Souls? Lieu Shi had once read about this river in the Hu families by Shu. She had thought it was only a legend. It was said that souls who drank the soup of Lady Meng, but still couldn't forget their loved ones, had to immerse themselves in this river for 7 days and 7 nights, erasing all worldly attachments so they could peacefully reincarnate into the 6 realms. The River of Forgotten Souls wasn't deep or wide. After a short swim, Lieu Shi reached the shore. The riverbank was a forest, but she didn't dare go deep inside. The young master was weak now, with nothing to protect or hide him. It would be too dangerous. Lieu Shi's body had already been infected with Yin energy. She sat huddled against a small tree at the forest's edge, her dress soaked. She could only use her hand to dry it, carefully holding the small piece of earth the young master had formed. She had called his name several times, but received no response. However, she could feel his weakening presence inside the earth. He must be absorbing spiritual energy to heal. So she stopped calling and simply sat still, holding him. Lieu Shi didn't dare make a fire to warm herself or dry her dress, fearing it would harm him. Madame who had said earth feared water and fire most. Water could soften it, and fire could burn it to ash. Yet today, because of her, he had suffered both fire and water, damaging his ghost body. Lieu Shi didn't dare sleep, fearing wild beasts or ghosts in this deep, dangerous forest would harm him. She guarded him without leaving for a second. Seeing the earth in her hand slowly dissolving, she silently thought, this isn't good. Just as she didn't know what to do, she heard his weak voice. Make a figurine for me, out of anything. I need it to shelter in and heal. Lieu Shi nodded. Yes. Stay here and wait for me. I'll go and return quickly. Lieu Shi picked a green leaf, placed him inside, and set it on the ground. She drew a circle around it to protect him from other Yin forces. Only then did she feel at ease to enter the forest to gather materials for the figurine. Her steps were hurried. She didn't dare hesitate for even a second. She just remembered that ghosts feared sunlight most. Though this place was a remote mountain valley where sunlight rarely reached, if the young master still had no shelter by day, he would be burned by the sun's heat. As she walked, Lieu Shi used pebbles she picked up by the river to mark her path, preventing ghosts from leading her astray in the forest. Earlier, at the Zheng family's mansion, the eldest young master had taught her to make a figurine from clothes and pig skin. But in this dark, deep forest, where could she find needles, thread, animal skin, or blood? It was already around 4 in the morning. At the latest, by 6, she had to make the figurine so he could shelter inside. Lieu Shi wandered around, but still couldn't find a way. She didn't see any living animals. The deeper she went, the stronger the Yin energy became. Do you want to get out of here? I'll lead you out. A young man suddenly appeared beside Lieu Shi, putting his arm on her left shoulder. She immediately panicked and pushed him away. On a person's shoulders were 2 flames that protected them from ghosts possessing or stealing their soul. If a stranger casually touched her shoulder, it would extinguish those flames, weakening her entire body. No need. Lieu Shi knew this man wasn't human. Only a wandering ghost who died lost in the forest and couldn't reincarnate. Since he hadn't harmed her, she ignored him and continued searching for what she needed. The ghost, seeing he couldn't lure Lieu Shi to die in his place, reluctantly disappeared. After walking a long way, Lieu Shi knew going deeper would be useless. Suddenly, she had an idea. What if she used dry branches to form the figurine's skeleton, covered it with dry leaves, and tied it with vines? For the blood to guide the soul, she could use her own. This way, she could save the eldest young master. Overjoyed, Lieu Shi searched for dry branches. This was an old forest with ancient trees hundreds of years old. Some had already formed spirits, or had demons dwelling in their roots. She shouldn't touch them. Still, before taking anything from the forest, Lieu Shi clasped her hands and respectfully prayed to the forest god. Please allow me to take a few things from your forest. After gathering all the materials she needed, Lieu Shi followed the pebbles she had laid to exit. After walking a while, she saw a few pebbles cracked. She guessed ghosts in the forest had tried to move them to lure her into a swamp or waterfall to her death. Fortunately, earlier, Lieu Shi had carefully chanted a spell before laying the pebbles, so the ghosts couldn't move them. When Lieu Shi left the forest, dawn was near. The forest's complete darkness had deceived her vision, making her lose time. She saw the circle she had drawn was still intact. She called out to the eldest young master. Young master, how are you? Lieu Shi saw a faint light from the stone, knowing he was signaling her. She sighed in relief, sat down, and quickly made the figurine. She used 2 dry branches to form a cross, tied them tightly with vines, then wove layers of dry leaves onto the frame. On each leaf, she carefully placed a drop of blood from her index finger. After finishing, she tied it tightly again. Seeing the figurine was sturdy, she shook the piece of earth and said, "Dawn is near. Please enter quickly." Hearing Lieu Shi's words, the ghost spirit shattered the earth, turning into a red light that entered the leaf figurine she had just made. Seeing he was safe inside, Lieu Shi finally breathed a sigh of relief. But she knew this wasn't the time to relax. During the day, the ghost enforcers couldn't harm the eldest young master or her. But if night came and she still hadn't escaped, it would be extremely dangerous. Earlier, she had explored the forest but still didn't know how vast it was. Going deeper to find a way out wasn't safe. Lieu Shi looked at the water. She remembered water could only flow downward, never upward. What if she followed the river downstream? She was sure to find a way out. "You rest and heal. This time, it's my turn to protect you and get you home safely." Lieu Shi tightly held the leaf figurine, whispering. After speaking, she followed the current to find a way out. Sure enough, Lieu Shi's guess was correct. The further downstream, the sparser the trees became, the clearer the river water, and the sky grew brighter, showing the first rays of sun. Lieu Shi's guess was accurate. Her throat was dry, and her stomach was empty. But she forced herself to walk a little further before stopping to drink. The sun was now at its peak. Lieu Shi felt safe and reached into the river to drink. She saw schools of small fish swimming joyfully and playfully reached out to tease them. Whether it was because Lieu Shi's body had been tempered through near-death experiences, she didn't feel tired after walking a long distance, only thirsty and hungry. Looking at the fish, Lieu Shi suddenly had a hallucination. She quickly grabbed one, about to chew it raw. The fish's stench excited her, making something surge inside her. "Lieu Shi, stop!" The young master's shout startled Lieu Shi. She immediately released the fish back into the river, confused and holding her head. She didn't understand why she had acted like a bloodthirsty ghost just now. For now, I need a long time to heal. Don't worry. I'll be by your side. Remember what I told you, absolutely don't eat raw food." Hearing this, Lieu Shi grew even more confused. Could she have been infected by Een energy or some evil force? She didn't ask further, knowing he needed time to heal. Lieu Shi thought the sooner she returned to the Hu family mansion, the better. She could investigate what had happened to her herself. So she walked straight on without stopping. The lower reaches of the River of Forgotten Souls happened to be the river behind Beishan village. Lieu Shi walked until dusk, finally seeing her familiar village. The servants in the mansion saw Lieu Shi returning alone, her clothes covered in mud, without a carriage, and found it strange. But no one dared gossip behind her back, only thinking silently. "Mistress, you've arrived." Chan, seeing Lieu Shi, happily ran over to ask about her. Seeing her clothes covered in dirt, he worriedly asked, "Are you all right, mistress? What happened?" Lieu Shi shook her head. "I'm fine. Go prepare some hot water for me to bathe." Tonight was the 15th day. In the Hu family mansion, red lanterns and candles were lit everywhere. The south courtyard was no exception. After finishing her bath, Madame Bai arrived, bowing her head. "Madam, today is the 15th. Madame has ordered all young masters and wives to the main hall for the Mid-Autumn Festival." "All right, I understand. I'll come right away." Though her body wasn't tired, Lieu Shi's spirit was exhausted. She only wanted a long sleep. But Madame Hu's order couldn't be defied. Lieu Shi had no choice but to follow Madame Bai to the main hall. When she arrived, Madame Hu, the third young master, He Ji, and Bao Tu were already there. After the Realgar incident, He Ji had been scared by the eldest young master. She looked at Lieu Shi as if she were a ghost, not daring to look directly and turning away. Madame Hu sat above, while only Bao Tu gently approached Lieu Shi, smiling softly. "The elder wife has arrived. Everyone has been waiting for you. Today, Mother even personally prepared this meal to welcome you back." Lieu Shi looked at the table. It was full of fresh food, even live frogs skewered through their bodies, wriggling their legs. Suddenly, her blood boiled. She breathed heavily, reaching out to grab a frog to put in her mouth. The stench from the frog stimulated Liu Ti's entire body, as if a magical force was luring her, making her lose control of herself. Liu Ti plunged her finger deep into her palm. The sudden pain brought her consciousness back to a degree. She quickly looked at Bao Tu and smiled, saying softly, "Why are there so many raw dishes? Wouldn't eating them upset your stomach? Me just recovered from night poisoning." She needs to be careful with her health. After speaking, Liu Ti turned to Madame Hu and said, Mother, you like eating frog, right? Let me have Chan prepare a dish of fried frog with lemongrass and chili, or frog porridge for you. Hearing this, Madame Hu only smiled cryptically. After a moment, she replied, No need. Magistrate Zheng has already sent the ancient by tan wood. You did well this time. Sit down and eat. With a wave of her hand, the servants quickly removed the raw dishes from the table and replaced them with a traditional feast. Sticky rice, boiled chicken, meat dishes, stir-fries, and vegetable soup, all fully cooked. The Hu family had clear rules. The first wife and concubines were distinct. Only Liu Ti was allowed to sit and eat with Madame Hu. Bao Tu, though present, could only stand and serve food to the matriarch and first wife. She would only be allowed to eat later. After the recent incident, Liu Ti had no appetite. She ate a few bites just to be polite and then asked to leave early. I've been a bit tired these past few days. May I return to the south courtyard first? Mother and the third young master can continue your meal at your leisure. That night, Liu Ti slept restlessly. It wasn't until 2 a.m. that she finally fell asleep. Her mind was dreamlike, as if controlled by someone else. When she became aware, she saw her own hand strangling a person. Her mouth was filled with the stench of blood. The girl was already dead, drained of all blood, her skin shriveled into a dry corpse, her eyes bulging out of their sockets. The smell of blood further excited Liu Ti. She crazily tore out the girl's heart, liver, and lungs and devoured them. The next day, it was nearly noon before Chan entered the room to wake Liu Ti. She woke up feeling utterly exhausted, as if she hadn't slept all night but had been somewhere else. Chan, seeing this, worriedly asked, Mistress, are you feverish? I'll go cook some congee for you. Your face is completely red. Liu Ti touched her own forehead. No fever. She waved her hand. I'm not sick. I'm just hungry. What time is it? Chan honestly replied. It's 11 a.m, mistress. Liu Ti was shocked. This was the first time she had woken up so late. She reassured herself. Surely it was because she had been overworked lately, causing her body to weaken and need extra sleep to recover. Next time I sleep in, just wake me up. Chan nodded. Yes, mistress. Chan quickly poured Liu Ti a cup of water. The cool water helped calm her down. Liu Ti thanked Chan then, hearing a commotion outside, asked, What's happening in the mansion? It's not in the mansion, but in the village, mistress. They're talking about the vampire that killed someone in the village last night. Liu Ti's heart pounded. She asked, Tell me everything. It happened last night at Mrs. Li's rice shop. Her daughter usually ground rice by the well in the back garden late at night. The family would go to sleep first, so no one noticed. This morning, Mrs. Li went to fetch water and found her daughter already dead. Her body was just a dried-up husk, her stomach torn open with a large hole. Her heart, liver, and lungs were all gone. I didn't see it myself, but from what they said, it was terrifying. Mrs. Li was so scared she fainted. Hearing this, Liu Ti froze. She recalled the terrifying dream from last night. The scene was so vivid. She immediately shook her head, denying it. Impossible. She would never kill anyone or commit such a heinous act. Chan, seemingly unaware of her strange behavior, innocently asked, You must be hungry, mistress. Let me bring up lunch. Liu Ti nodded. Before leaving, Chan praised her. Hee, I think you're getting more beautiful. Just one night, and your skin looks smoother and more radiant. For some reason, Liu Ti didn't feel happy hearing this compliment. She only vaguely urged Chan to go quickly to the kitchen. After Chan left, Liu Ti finally dared to flip back the blanket beside her and saw a dried pool of blood underneath. This was human blood, but why was it on her bed? And whose blood was it? The smell of fresh blood was like a drug to Liu Ti. Fortunately, it was already dry and didn't affect her much. While Chan was still gone, she quickly took the blanket and the mat beneath and burned them. Throughout lunch, Liu Ti only felt a bitter taste in her mouth. She had no appetite. She didn't know what was wrong with her. After lunch, she decided to make a few exorcism and demon-warding talismans to stick on herself. Then she went to the kitchen to test her craving for raw food. But the talismans she made had no effect. The craving for raw food still overwhelmed her mind. She sat and carefully thought about everything she had experienced. Since when had she started craving raw food? It seemed to be after returning from the vampire village. Since then, she hadn't touched cooked meat. It tasted bland. She recalled the head vampire cursing her, spitting gas into her body. At the time, She felt nothing strange and quickly forgot about it. Now, thinking back, she was afraid. Could she have been infected with the vampire's Renzi vampire seed? Liu Shi quickly ran to the archive pavilion to search for all materials on vampires. After an entire afternoon of searching, she finally understood the full story of vampires. Different from the folk tales or what the blind old woman in the vampire village had told her. Vampires were actually a different species from humans. They could live and eat like ordinary people, except on the 1st and 15th of each month, when the moonlight was strongest. Vampires were forced to go out to feed. Their food included foul things like frogs, snakes, and even humans. The more bloodthirsty a vampire became, the more they sought out higher bloodline species to grow faster. Humans were the best food for vampires. However, a powerful human sorcerer had once defeated the vampire clan, draining their vital energy. He forced the vampire chieftain to swear an oath that they would never harm humans again. If they broke this oath, the entire clan would be destroyed. Since then, the vampire clan had lived in hiding in the high mountains of northern Vietnam. That's why people in highland areas often saw vampires hunting at night, catching snakes and frogs by the stream. When extremely hungry, they might only dare to sneak into a newborn's house to steal the placenta or absorb the baby's spiritual energy, but never directly harm a person. Liu Shi turned to the page describing what happened to a vampire after drinking human blood. After reading, her entire body went numb. The book slipped from her hands and fell to the ground. The book stated, after drinking human blood, a vampire's skin would turn slightly red due to absorbing too many red blood cells at once. This would fade after about a day. The vampire's magical power would progress rapidly, their cultivation speed increasing. Especially, they would become more beautiful with radiant, rosy skin. She recalled what Chan had said that morning, that her face was flushed red, even though she clearly didn't have a fever. Moreover, Chan had praised her for being more beautiful after just one night apart. Liu Shi's hand clenched tighter, sweating more and more, showing her deep confusion and fear. Was she doubting herself? Had she become a bloodthirsty vampire? Sister-in-law, what's wrong? The third young master appeared out of nowhere, picked up the book Liu Shi had dropped, and worriedly asked. Liu Shi unconsciously asked, "Do you think I look more beautiful than yesterday?" The third young master burst out laughing, but seeing Liu Shi's serious eyes, as if his answer was crucial to her, "Not at all a joke," he replied. "Sister-in-law is always beautiful." Only then did Liu Shi realize her rudeness. Thinking back to the misunderstandings between them, she quickly bowed. "I apologize, third young master. I was out of line. Please ignore my crazy words." The third young master shook his head. "I should be the one apologizing. He nearly harmed you. I haven't been to her room for a whole week." Liu Shi interrupted. "Marriage is a kind of fate. Please cherish your wife. I am your brother's wife, your sister-in-law." The third young master frowned, not convinced. "But my brother is dead. And since childhood, whatever I liked, he always gave to me. As long as I ask mother, you won't be my sister-in-law anymore, you'll be." Before he could finish, Liu Shi angrily slapped him. She pointed at his face, furious. "You're truly spoiled. Do you know what your brother silently endured for you? Why should he have to give everything to you just because you're the younger brother? And I am your sister-in-law. Get rid of that thought. I feel sorry for He having a husband like you, always looking at another mountain." The third young master suddenly grabbed Liu Shi's chin and said, "But it's all his fault. He possessed my body on his own. I remember everything you two said, all the kindness and gentleness you showed him." Liu Shi was shocked. The night the eldest young master used the third young master's body to nearly assault her. The third young master remembered it all. Now the vampire issue had already confused her, and she pushed him away, gritting her teeth. "But I am still your sister-in-law. Please remember that. For that night, my husband and I sincerely apologize to you." With that, Liu Shi grabbed the book and quickly ran out of the archive pavilion. To confirm everything, she decided to go to Mrs. Li's house. The villagers, eager for news, had already surrounded the gate, chattering noisily. Inside, the authorities had already sealed off the crime scene. Liu Shi had to use the Hu family's name to enter. When she reached the well in the back garden, she lifted the white cloth and saw the face of the dead girl. She froze. Wasn't this the girl from her dream? Moreover, the wounds were exactly as she had inflicted them. Liu Shi panicked and stepped back, bumping into the well wall, nearly falling in. "Careful, this well is deep." Fortunately, someone quickly caught Liu Shi. She turned around and saw a young man. However, his official robes revealed his identity. Moreover, he was very handsome and exuded an extraordinary aura, clearly indicating a non-ordinary background. Before she could say anything, the young man exclaimed in shock. Lunan! Lunan? Liu Ti quickly shook her head and smiled. You must have mistaken me. I'm not the Lunan you mean. We only share the surname Liu. My name is Ti. The young man narrowed his eyes, as if trying to examine the beautiful girl before him closely. After a moment, he stepped back a few paces and clasped his hands. I apologize. You're Liu Ti? You look so much like my fiancé. Looking closely, I see your eyes aren't quite the same, and your aura is completely different. She's gentler, while you have a certain wildness. Liu Ti didn't know if he was complimenting or criticizing her, and comparing her to his fiancé was inappropriate. But since he had helped her, she clasped her hands in return. Thank you for helping me earlier. The young man laughed generously. It's nothing. Let me introduce myself. I'm Liu Vu, an imperial envoy from the court. I happened to pass by and saw a murder case, so I stopped to investigate. A girl like you shouldn't be in places with blood and gore. Liu Ti knew he meant well, so she simply said, I understand. But have you found the murderer yet? Liu Vu stared intently at Liu Ti, stroking his chin. If you didn't look so decent, I'd suspect you were the killer, returning to retrieve something you forgot after the murder. Seeing Liu Ti silent, thinking she was angry, Liu Vu quickly added, Haha, don't take it seriously. You look so tense. I was just teasing. I actually admire brave girls like you. You're not really suspicious of me, are you? What if I were the murderer? For some reason, despite meeting for the first time, Liu Vu felt a strong sense of familiarity with Liu Ti, as if they had known each other for a long time. Perhaps it was because this girl looked so similar to Lu Nan. Moreover, facing Liu Ti's clear, bright eyes, his heart grew even more convinced that the girl before him could not be a murderer. You shouldn't say such nonsense. Haven't you heard the saying, the frog dies because of its mouth? All right, Mr. Imperial Envoy, you win. I surrender, okay? Liu Vu found Liu Ti's courage impressive and became quite interested in her. Since childhood, he had interacted with many noble young ladies in the capital, all gentle and refined. Unlike this girl, who could stare intently at a corpse, nothing like a typical girl. I haven't found the murderer, nor any clues left behind. Did you notice anything? Liu Ti saw the heavy aura of injustice on the corpse, but didn't see where the girl's soul had gone. She said, This girl's neck has scratch marks, wounds left by fingernails. It can be concluded the perpetrator is a woman. Whether human or ghost, I can't tell. After speaking, Liu Ti bid Liu Vu farewell and returned to the Hu family mansion. Before she left, Liu Vu said they would meet again soon. Liu Ti thought he was joking, but soon after, Madame Hu sent someone to summon her, saying the imperial envoy from the court would be staying at the Hu mansion for a while. She also reminded her that he was of royal blood and must be treated with great care. In front of many people, Liu Vu acted as if he didn't know Liu Ti and politely said, You're the elder wife of the Hu family? I'm Liu Vu, staying here for a while. I hope you'll take good care of me. Liu Ti nodded. My name is Liu Ti, the elder wife here. Mr. Lai, rest assured, the Hu family will treat you with utmost hospitality. The Hu family had a separate row of houses for honored guests. However, Liu Ti didn't assign him the largest room, but arranged for him a room by the lake. She guessed that with his free-spirited personality, he wouldn't like extravagance and would prefer simplicity and tranquility. Could the elder wife guide me? Liu Ti nodded and walked ahead to show Liu Vu the way. The servants had been sent ahead by Liu Ti to clean the room, leaving only the two of them. I don't understand why the Lai family refuses to let me continue the investigation. They say if they don't bury the body soon, it will rot, and their daughter won't rest in peace. I'm helpless. Liu Ti was shocked. Their daughter died tragically, yet they wouldn't let the authorities investigate. Could there be a hidden reason? That night, Liu Ti decided to return to the Lai family's house to check again. The moonlight tonight wasn't bright as usual but had a cold, silvery hue. The girl's body had been placed in a coffin by Mrs. Lai, and the entire house was shrouded in mourning. The body had been placed in the coffin, and the well area had been cleaned. However, dried blood still stained the ground. Liu Ti returned to find the girl's soul and talked to her. Within 49 days after death, souls of the deceased who haven't reincarnated usually linger near their earthly body or the place they died. Yet, after standing for a while, she still didn't see the girl's soul. It was now the third watch of the night. The entire Lai family had gone to sleep. Liu Shi slowly entered the morning hall and saw the coffin lid had been pried open. She quickly ran over and pushed the lid open, only to find the yellow burial shroud inside empty. The body was gone. Liu Shi took out a small bell, shook it, and murmured, "If you have any injustice, appear and speak to me. I will help you clear your name." Suddenly, a cold wind blew through, scattering yellow and silver paper money throughout the morning hall. However, after ringing the bell 7 times, the girl's soul still didn't appear. Suddenly, Liu Shi smelled a foul stench in the air. Before she could react, a hand grabbed her throat. She immediately threw the prepared lime powder from her pouch behind her. The corpse cried out in pain and released her. Corpse possession. With that, Liu Shi slapped a prepared talisman onto the girl's body. Immediately, the corpse seemed to lose all vitality, standing motionless without collapsing. From the body emerged a soul wearing tattered clothes. "You're not her." Liu Shi concluded this was a wandering hungry ghost. During the day, a black cat must have run over the coffin, creating an electric current, allowing the hungry ghost to possess the girl's body to find food. The ghost was still young, about 10 years old. Seeing Liu Shi perform magic, it shrank in fear. Liu Shi smiled and said, "Don't be afraid. There's been a famine, many have died. I won't harm you. Go wait by the door. I'll finish my business here, then give you a full meal and burn more paper money so you can smoothly enter the underworld." Hearing this, the hungry ghost happily nodded and quickly flew out. Only Liu Shi and the girl's body remained in the morning hall. By the cold moonlight, Liu Shi could clearly see the girl's eyes, nose, mouth, and ears had been sewn shut with thread, and a golden nail had been driven into the top of her head. This was a ritual to trap the soul. No wonder Liu Shi had summoned the girl's soul 7 times without seeing her appear. Strange noises seemed to have awakened Mrs. Lai. She came in holding an oil lamp, saying, "Child, is that you in? You don't scare me." Liu Shi hid behind the door, carefully observing Mrs. Lai's actions. "Ah, ghost! Ghost demanding my life." Seeing her daughter's body standing motionless in the morning hall, Mrs. Lai screamed in fear, dropping the oil lamp and clasping her hands in prayer. "Child, don't hate your mother. I didn't harm you. If you must blame anyone, blame your bad fortune. Who told you not to be a son to carry on our family line? You're dead now. Quickly reincarnate. Don't haunt your mother. In the next life, I'll repay you by being your ox or horse." Liu Shi gently pushed the door, intending to scare Mrs. Lai a little. But Mrs. Lai, already terrified, knelt and wept. "Do you resent your mother for sewing your 7 orifices shut and driving a golden nail into your head? You're already dead. Why not bring some wealth to our family and help your mother give birth to a son to carry on our family line?" Hearing this, Liu Shi frowned in thought. The case was becoming more complicated. Mrs. Lai hadn't killed her daughter. Someone else had. Liu Shi covered her nose with her hand and lowered her voice, making it sound as if it came from afar. "Mother, you've wronged me even more. Who told you to do this?" Mrs. Lai, already deep in fear, became even more panicked. She kowtowed before the corpse. "Mother doesn't know. Among the villagers who came to see today, someone said sewing your 7 orifices shut and adding a golden nail could bring wealth to our family and help me give birth to a son soon. Mother only followed their advice. Forgive me, child. Mother will burn lots of paper money for you." The clue to the murderer ended here, but Liu Shi. While Mrs. Lai was still crying and lamenting, Liu Shi slipped away from the morning hall. Outside the door, she met the hungry ghost waiting for her. Liu Shi waved for it to follow her. The Hu family mansion had a door guardian. Liu Shi told the hungry ghost to wait outside while she went in to fetch supplies, which she would then bring out to it. Liu Shi took some rice, salt, green bananas, and 3 large bundles of yellow spirit money. On her way out, she was caught by Liang Guinvu. She felt slightly uneasy as she looked at him. Liang Guinvu, seeing her awkward gait, laughed and said, "I've been following you since you went to Mrs. Lai's house. You're quite mischievous, pretending to be a ghost to scare her." Caught red-handed doing something wrong, Liu Shi felt flustered and huffed. "I never expected someone from a noble family like you would have the bad habit of spying on others." Liang Guinvu wasn't embarrassed at all. Instead, he proudly said, "Whatever. You'd better hurry. That hungry ghost is about to die from starvation." Hearing this, Liu Shi was shocked. You can see ghosts?" Liang Guinvu didn't answer, but his silence was an implicit acknowledgement. Lieu Shi didn't ask further. She went to a quiet crossroads, poured rice into a small bowl to serve as an incense burner, then arranged the rice, salt, and fruit on a banana leaf. She looked at the hungry ghost and asked, "What's your name, birth date, and year?" After the ghost recited its details, Lieu Shi lit incense and called out its name and birth information, so the underworld officials would know and allow the ghost to receive the money and goods. Next time, be reborn into a better family. Lieu Shi waved goodbye to the hungry ghost and turned to leave. Dawn was near, and the village echoed with the occasional crow of a rooster. Liang Wenwu followed Lieu Shi and said, "Walk slower. After all, I meant well. I saw a young woman sneaking out alone at night and followed to protect you. Who knew even ghosts would fear you? You're truly ruthless." At first, she had felt a bit of goodwill toward this man. But now he kept saying harsh things. What had she done to him? Lieu Shi ignored Liang Wenwu and returned to her room. She lay down on the bed, her heart heavy with thoughts. Could that dream have been just a coincidence? Or was someone in the shadows secretly setting a trap to lure her into a pit? Lieu Shi hugged a bamboo pillow, silently wishing the eldest young master were by her side. She didn't know when she had come to see him as a solid shoulder to lean on. Perhaps two lonely souls, long submerged in darkness, could only warm each other. The next day, Lieu Shi hosted a banquet, claiming it was a welcoming party for the imperial envoy Liang Wenwu. Madame Hu, the third young master, He Baotu, and even some members of the Hu family's branch line were present. The banquet wasn't held in the main hall as usual. Lieu Shi had requested permission from Madame Hu to set it up in the west courtyard, where the pavilion by the lake offered a cool, moonlit breeze. That night, the bright moon hung over the pavilion. Lieu Shi had prepared trays of betel nuts on the tables. Each tray held betel leaves, areca nuts, lime paste, toothpicks, knives, and plates for discarded husks and chewed residue. Under the tables were large spittoons for guests to spit out betel juice. Madame Hu presented a prepared betel nut to Liang Wenwu. A betel nut starts a conversation. "Please, sir." Liang Wenwu politely accepted the nut in return. "I've long heard of your esteemed family. The Hu family is famous as the richest in Lang region, known for fabric trade. These past 2 days, I've had the chance to visit. Truly, seeing is better than hearing. I salute Madame Hu." Madame Hu quickly waved her hand, modestly replying, "Oh no, Mr. Vu, you flatter us. The Hu family is merely a small merchant household. You're too generous." As the host, Madame Hu was required to offer betel nuts to her guests. Fortunately for Lieu Shi, as a daughter-in-law, she didn't have to do this. Besides, she had been allergic to betel nuts since childhood. Eating even a small piece would cause hives, rashes, and fever lasting several days. Hearing that Lieu Shi was allergic to betel nuts, Liang Wenwu laughed. "If the elder wife didn't have clear credentials, I'd think she was Liu Nan's long-lost younger sister." Lieu Shi only smiled faintly and gave a few polite responses. Eating betel nuts was an ancient Vietnamese custom dating back to the Hung Kings. Besides being offered to guests and used in wedding ceremonies, betel nuts helped protect teeth. The astringent quality of the nut strengthened teeth and prevented them from loosening. Thus, not just on holidays, but even on ordinary days, people often chewed 1 or 2 betel nuts. Lieu Shi, however, couldn't. She could only watch as others chewed. He smiled brightly, prepared a phoenix wing betel nut, and handed it with both hands to the third young master. Other family members from the branch line happily chewed and offered betel nuts to each other. In an instant, Lieu Shi felt the warm atmosphere was slightly unfamiliar. Besides Lieu Shi, Baotu also didn't touch the betel tray, only chatting with others. When someone offered her some, she politely replied, "Sorry, Aunt Ba, I'm allergic to betel nuts, just like the elder wife." How coincidental. It seems I have a connection with concubine Bao Tuesday. I thought you were allergic to lime. Lieu Shi smiled at Bao Tuesday. It was rare for the elder wife to be so friendly, and Bao Tu felt a bit awkward, only bowing her head respectfully. "Yes, I'm allergic to betel nuts, just like you." The younger sons from the branch families looked at Lieu Shi and Bao Tu, their faces red with envy. They silently cursed the eldest young master for his good fortune. Already dead, yet he had married 2 beautiful, gentle, and understanding wives. Unlike in their households, where their wives constantly fought, schemed, and harmed each other. "Concubine Bao Tu, come sit with me." Madame Hu and Liang Wenwu sat at the top table. Below were separate tables for Lieu Shi, the third young master, and He and Bao Tu, as a concubine, could only share a table with the branch family. Seeing Lieu Shi call her, she looked blankly at her. The eldest young master isn't here. Sit with me so I won't feel lonely. Since Lieu Shi had invited her, Bao Tu had no choice but to stand and move to the top table to sit with her, bowing and saying, "Then let me serve you today." Lieu Shi took Bao Tu's hand and smiled kindly. "No need for formalities. I used to be narrow-minded. From now on, let's live in harmony and serve the young master together." "Yes, elder wife." As Lieu Shi gently stroked Bao Tu's hand, she said, "Your hands are truly beautiful. Do you know how to play the zither?" "Yes, I do." "Then when you have time, teach me, okay? I'm not skilled in music, chess, poetry, or painting. Here, have some fruit to keep your skin beautiful." Bao Tu took the don-hung pomelo from Lieu Shi with both hands, repeatedly saying, "Yes, elder wife." "What about concubine He Ji?" He Ji was surprised that Lieu Shi not only wasn't angry about the Realgar incident, but was actively speaking to her. She sighed and replied, "I don't know how to play either." Lieu Shi nodded. No wonder He Ji's fingers were stubby. Usually, noble young ladies had the habit of growing long fingernails, some believing it was elegant, others growing them to practice the zither. Like Bao Tuesday, Lieu Shi herself didn't know when she had developed the habit of growing her nails. Before long, the moon had passed through the willow branches. It was late, and guests gradually asked Madame Hu for permission to leave. Lieu Shi also stood to bid farewell and returned to the south courtyard. Liang Wenwu excused himself and followed Lieu Shi. He asked, "You suddenly threw a welcoming banquet for me. I'm a bit surprised. Come on, confess. What's your intention?" Lieu Shi only replied, "Mr. Wu is an imperial envoy of the court. How could I have bad intentions? Hosting a welcoming banquet for you is only proper. You didn't do it earlier, only 2 days later. Do you think I'm stupid?" Lieu Shi suddenly turned and smiled at Liang Wenwu. She didn't know her smile was even brighter than the moon above, her eyes sparkling with mischief, brighter than the stars overhead. "I once heard an old saying, if you don't enter the tiger's den, you can't catch the cub. To catch your enemy, you must become the bait yourself, right? But I'm tired from the banquet. You should go rest. I'll take my leave now." Liang Wenwu nodded repeatedly, dazedly watching her figure disappear. Time passed quickly. Before long, it was the first day of the 9th month. For the past half-month, Lieu Shi hadn't seen the eldest young master, nor had Madame Hu summoned her to scold her about the injury he had suffered. That day, before leaving to heal, the young master had given her a talisman, instructing her to burn it when she needed him, and he would come immediately. He also reminded her to avoid the abattoir unless necessary, and absolutely not to step into the mountain range behind it. Hearing this, Lieu Shi was curious but obeyed. During this time, she stayed in the south courtyard, studying magic. She heard others said that the higher one studied, the slower the progress. But Lieu Shi felt the opposite. The more she studied, the easier it became, as if she had learned these things before and was just reviewing them. Liang Wenwu seemed to have nothing to do. Every day, under the guise of being an honored guest, he disturbed her reading and practicing, and clung to her all day as an honored guest. If Madame Hu hadn't instructed her not to offend him, Lieu Shi would have already ordered him expelled from the mansion. That evening, before going to sleep, Chan specially made her a bowl of lotus seed sweet soup, saying it would cool her body and nourish her complexion. Though only 13, Chan was very thoughtful, making her a dessert or sweet soup almost every night before bed. Lieu Shi told Chan to leave the soup there, she'd eat it later. Chan bowed and left, reminding her to drink the soup before sleeping. Vampires had 2 ways to increase their power. One was to absorb the essence of the sun and moon and use precious herbs. This method was slow but clean and stable. Because it took too long, there was a second method, using humans as food, allowing vampires to grow extremely fast. However, this was unsustainable, like building a mansion on sand. Moreover, harming people damaged one's spiritual virtue, and eventually, one would face retribution. For now, Lieu Shi hadn't found a way to remove the vampire curse within her. Instead, she decided to temporarily integrate with it, which could help her increase her magical power. Therefore, from now on the 1st and 15th of each month, Lieu Shi would sit under the moon to meditate and absorb the essence of the sun and moon. On the 1st, she would absorb the purity of the new moon to cleanse her body. On the 15th, she would use the power of the full moon to cultivate her magic. Late at night, Lieu Shi fell asleep without realizing it. A bamboo flute echoed in her ears. Lieu Shi felt a headache as if being split by an axe, but she didn't have nightmares or strange dreams like before. While still dazed, shouts woke her. Someone's dead. Someone's dead. There's a ghost in the mansion. Hurry, chase it. It's running toward the south courtyard. Lieu Shi sat up and looked out the window. Torchlight illuminated figures running in a line. Did you see anything run through here? Immediately, someone answered. A short while ago, I saw a dark shadow run into the elder wife's room. Hurry, go save the elder wife. What if it harms her? Wait, what if she's sleeping? How can we servants just barge into her room? How can we worry about that now? Saving her is more important. The door's locked. Step aside, I'll kick it open. Bang! Lieu Shi's door was kicked open. By the torchlight, she saw Chan lying sprawled on the floor, her entire body covered in blood, clothes torn to shreds, covered in deep scratch marks. She lay breathing faintly as if about to die, struggling to stammer. Mistress, the elder wife is a blood-sucking ghost. Save me. Only then did Lieu Shi notice her entire body was covered in blood. She sighed inwardly. It seemed someone was determined to frame her for murder. She never expected the person she trusted most, Chan, would betray her like this. When the servants heard Chan's cries, they panicked and backed away, staring at Lieu Shi as if she were a bloodthirsty ghost. They glared at her with hatred. It's truly unbelievable that the elder wife is the murderer. She's nothing but an evil demon. I've always suspected her since the day she entered the mansion. How could a normal person be so beautiful? They say female ghosts suck blood and eat human hearts to stay beautiful. How disgusting. More evil than any ghost. Look at how calm she is. A murderer must pay with their life. Poor little Nok was so young. Quickly, go invite Madame Hu to judge this. We must seek justice for little Nok. Chan lay sprawled on the floor. No one helped stop her bleeding. It wasn't until Bao Tu ran over from a nearby room, shocked and crying out. Why haven't you called a doctor? What's going on? A quick-witted servant immediately said. The elder wife is the ghost murderer. Bao Tu looked at Lieu Shi in disbelief, covering her mouth. There must be some misunderstanding. How could the elder wife harm anyone? Don't be fooled, madam. Look at her mouth. It's still smeared with blood. Don't think so well of her. One day, she might harm you too. Lieu Shi sat quietly on the bed, saying nothing, calmly watching Bao Tu and the servants pointing and gossiping. A moment later, Madame Hu arrived. As Lieu Shi had predicted, someone had escalated the situation. Quan Cam Sai Languin Vu was also present. As the two entered, the servants immediately knelt. One stood up to speak on their behalf. Your Excellency, Madame Hu, the elder wife killed someone and sucked their blood. Please, Your Excellency and Madame Hu, bring justice for us. Languin Vu fanned himself with a paper fan and said, Everyone, calm down and recount the events from the beginning. Yes, Your Excellency. I am Hen from the laundry room. Nok's shift, the one murdered by the elder wife, was during the afternoon. Mine was the late-night shift. Earlier, after finishing laundry, I heard screams about a ghost. I rushed in and found Nok lying in a pool of blood. I saw a dark shadow run out of the room, heading toward the south courtyard. I immediately called for help and chased it to the elder wife's room, where I saw her attack Chan. Languin Vu pointed at Chan. A servant beside him checked her pulse, examined her for a moment, then reported. Your Excellency, she's not dead. Her wounds aren't serious, likely just fainted from shock. Languin Vu turned to Madame Hu. How do you wish to handle this case, Madame Hu? Madame Hu smiled and replied. For this matter, I believe Your Excellency is the most suitable to preside over the judgment. Languin Vu nodded, took a long needle, and pricked acupoints on Chan's body. Within minutes, Chan woke up. She immediately screamed. Mistress, the elder wife killed someone. Save me. Languin Vu sternly scolded. Slow down. Tell us the whole story. Only then did Chan begin to recount. Earlier, I heard strange noises from the elder wife's room. I went to check, thinking there might be a thief. But I saw the elder wife covered in blood. When she saw I'd discovered her, she tried to kill me to silence me. How did Lieu Shi attack you? Chan replied. Your Excellency, the elder wife used her hands to claw me. Her nails were very sharp, like knives stabbing into my body. Hearing this, Lieu Shi laughed. She raised her hands in the air for everyone to see clearly and said with a smile, You mean I tried to kill you with these short, stubby nails? Everyone looked at Lieu Shi's hands in shock. Her delicate fingers were neatly trimmed. She didn't have long nails. How could she have clawed anyone? Chan was also stunned, stammering. Mistress, You must have changed when no one was looking. Everyone in the household knows the elder wife has the habit of growing long nails. Lieu Shi smiled and said, Normally, yes, that's true. But unfortunately, I just cut my nails this afternoon. I even met your excellency and many servants this afternoon. They all saw. Chan shook her head. How is that possible? Lieu Shi continued smiling. Of course I wouldn't let you see my nails after I cut them. Otherwise, how could I lure you both into my trap? Isn't that right, Bao Tu? Bao Tu, standing among the servants, was startled when Lieu Shi suddenly mentioned her. She quickly masked her fear, feigning confusion. Mistress, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Lieu Shi got up from the bed, poured a cup of tea to rinse her mouth. The stench of blood made her uncomfortable. Fortunately, earlier, Lieu Shi had meditated to regulate the yin energy in her body. Moreover, for the past 2 weeks, she had purchased expensive herbs to bathe in, which helped suppress the bloodlust caused by the vampire curse. Don't understand? Then let me explain. You are the murderer. If I recall correctly, at the welcoming banquet for your excellency, you said you could play the zither. Show everyone here your hands. Bao Tu forced a smile. How can you accuse me of murder just because I grow long nails to play the zither? That's a bit far-fetched. The ordinary servants, deceived by Bao Tu's gentle and innocent appearance, immediately defended her. Yes, elder wife. Earlier, Madame Bao Tu was defending you. How could she kill someone and frame you? Lieu Shi coldly glared at the group and shouted. Silence. I haven't even dealt with your crime of slandering your master earlier without knowing right from wrong. How dare you servants insult your master? Lieu Shi knew that no matter how kind she was to these people, they would never know their place. They only became bolder when given an inch. Seeing Lieu Shi's anger, the servants shrank in fear and stopped defending Bao Tu. Lieu Shi stared straight at Bao Tu and continued. Of course, that's not the only evidence. Hen, take off your shoes. Hen, kneeling in a corner, heard Lieu Shi call her name. Thinking the elder wife misunderstood her as the murderer or was punishing her for falsely accusing her earlier, she quickly kowtowed. Please, elder wife, I didn't harm Knock. Earlier, seeing my friend die unjustly, I was possessed by a ghost and misled. Please forgive me. Lieu Shi glared and replied. I didn't say you were the murderer. I told you to take off your shoes. Under the elder wife's authority, Hen obediently complied and removed her shoes. Turn the soles over. Though confused, Hen flipped the soles as Lieu Shi instructed. Everyone in the room held their breath, watching her every move. Lieu Shi pointed at the shoes and said, Your Excellency, please come closer and take a look. See if there's anything on the soles. Liang Wenwu nodded and stepped forward. After examining the soles closely, he said, There's a yellow-orange powder stuck to the soles. If I'm not mistaken, this is realgar. With someone confirming her claim, Lieu Shi smiled at Bao Tu. Now it's your turn to take off your shoes. Bao Tu turned pale upon hearing this. She seemed to realize something and stood speechless for a long time. Liang Wenwu ordered his servant, Tang Bao, to remove her shoes. Sure enough, a small amount of realgar powder was stuck to the soles of Bao Tu's shoes. Unexpected, isn't it? At the previous welcoming banquet, I already suspected you. Why not Hiji? She doesn't grow long nails like you. After that, I asked your excellency to have someone follow your every move. When I saw you frequently visiting the laundry room, I became even more suspicious. The previous girl's death was so carefully executed, leaving no trace. But no wall is completely airtight. Tonight, I had someone spread a thin layer of realgar powder on the floor of Knox and Hen's rooms. The people you intended to harm. I was just waiting for you to fall into the trap. You could wash your hands, change your clothes, and burn them. But you never thought about your shoes, did you? Bao Tu shook her head, unable to believe her carefully crafted plan had been so easily exposed. You clearly are. Lieu Shi leaned close to Bao Tu's ear, whispering so only she could hear. A vampire? You had Chan slip me sleeping powder every night. Then you used some kind of ancient spell to create illusions in my dreams, making me doubt myself and believe I had killed someone. Tonight was the same. Fortunately, I was prepared and didn't eat that lotus seed soup. To be even more certain, you clawed Chan to make her bleed. When I woke up and saw it, you planned for me to pounce and bite her. Then you'd lure the servants here to catch me red-handed. Even if I had 10 mouths, I wouldn't be able to deny it. No one understood what the elder wife had whispered to Bao Tuesday. They only saw Bao Tu's eyes widen in shock. You knew everything. How is that possible? Lieu Shi continued whispering. I don't know why you discovered I'm cursed with the vampire's mark. But I know who you are. Lieu Shi stood straight, turned to Madame Hu and smiled. Mother, do you remember the two brothers surnamed Tran who harmed you at the Yang market before? Hearing Lieu Shi suddenly mention this, Madame Hu had a bad feeling. Since they had poisoned her with energy, nearly killing her, she had remembered them clearly. But despite sending people to search for over 2 months, she hadn't found any trace of them. Why are you suddenly bringing up this matter? Because she is your loyal daughter-in-law, isn't she? Or should I say, Tran Nok Xian? At this point, the beautiful face of Bao Tu could no longer maintain its calm. She panted and said, You're speaking nonsense. Don't you dare insult me. Even though I'm a concubine, I was properly married by the eldest young master. My family is a respectable household in the village. Lieu Shi laughed. Are you done pretending to be innocent? Calm down. I haven't finished speaking yet. Let me ask you again. Why don't you chew betel nut? Or rather, why dare you not chew betel nut? I already said I'm allergic to it. Is it only you who can be allergic? Is that so? Are you allergic to betel nut? Or are you afraid of the lime paste on it? The girl from Mrs. Lia's house died half a month ago. Bao Tu refused to back down, continuing to defend herself. Fortunately, Nok wasn't dead, so even if punished, at worst she'd only be expelled from the Hu mansion. There was still plenty of time. She could return later and find another way to take revenge on the Hu family. But if Madame Hu found out she was Tran Nok Xian, the first person to kill her would be Madame Hu herself. Therefore, Bao Tu fought to the end. Don't speak nonsense. Yes, I hated you for monopolizing the eldest young master, so I devised a plan to frame you as a blood-sucking ghost to get you expelled. As the first wife, how can you be so jealous? Do you even deserve the title of first wife? Besides, Nok isn't dead, I only scratched her. As for the incident half a month ago, who knows who killed that girl? One thing at a time. I admit to what I've done. Don't throw dirty water on me. Lieu Shi clapped and laughed. You're quite eloquent. If I hadn't had someone watching you from the start, noticing strange movements in Nok's room and immediately shouting, you would have killed Nok just as you killed the girl last time. If you hadn't panicked and fled. Lieu Shi hadn't ordered her people to surround and capture Bao Tu on the spot because she wanted to test Chan's loyalty, to see if he would go through with it. Until now, she had treated him like a sibling. Never did she expect such bitterness in return. Lieu Shi knew Bao Tu wouldn't easily admit to being Tran Nok Xian. She immediately ordered Lin to bring in a rooster that had previously been given enchanted water. As soon as Lin placed the rooster on the ground, it ran straight to Bao Tu and pecked her. Strangely, while a normal peck would only cause slight pain, Bao Tu curled up as if enduring extreme torture. It hurts, stay away from me. In an instant, she revealed her true form. Her entire body turned pitch black, emaciated, with fangs growing from her mouth, claws extending from her hands, hair matted, mouth dripping thick black saliva onto the ground, glaring at Lieu Shi with hatred. Corpse possession, Lieu Shi said calmly. Tran Nok Xian was a possessed corpse that had reached a high cultivation level. Ordinary lime powder wouldn't force her true form out. Only a magically empowered rooster could peck her until she revealed herself. Seeing the dire situation, Tran Nok Xian attempted to escape her spirit from Bao Tu's body, but Lieu Shi quickly used red thread to bind her, saying, You commit crimes using someone else's body, but don't have the courage to stay and face punishment? I've already investigated. 3 days before the real Bao Tu was to be married into the Hu family, she suddenly died. Her family, fearing the Hu family's retaliation, was shocked when their daughter suddenly came back to life. They didn't pay much attention. They never imagined their daughter's body had been taken over by a wicked person like you to commit evil. At first, Lieu Shi wasn't certain. But when Bao Tu sat beside her at Liang Guin Vu's welcoming banquet, her entire body emitted a foul stench, just like the possessed corpse of the girl. Though she used various fragrances to mask it, Lieu Shi still faintly smelled it. She then sent someone to investigate and uncovered the truth. Suddenly, Lieu Shi saw the figure of the eldest young master appear behind Bao Tu, using something to stab into the top of her head. Bao Tu clutched her head, screaming in even greater pain. She has high cultivation. I had to use a nail made from ancient sapele wood to lock her soul into this body. Seeing the eldest young master appear, the stone in Lieu Shi's heart lifted. She smiled at him. He controlled a paper effigy, letting it drop a paper in front of Bao Tu. Seeing the paper with the words divorce wife, Bao Tu went berserk. She crawled up and lunged at Lieu Shi, raising her long, sharp claws to scratch her. Immediately, the eldest young master stepped in front of Lieu Shi and kicked her away. To outsiders, it looked as if Bao Tu had been thrown back, and a divorce paper had mysteriously fallen. No one saw the eldest young master except for Madame Hu, Bao Tu, Lieu Shi, and Liang Guinvu. You, how can you be so heartless? I've married you twice. The eldest young master's expression remained cold. Have I ever acknowledged you as my wife? You keep harming Lieu Shi. Anyone who dares touch her must die. The eldest young master gathered fire at his fingertip, preparing to strike Bao Tu's head, but Lieu Shi stopped him. She shook her head at him. No matter what, you two had some marital bond. Let her live in this body for the rest of her life. Mother won't let her live comfortably. The eldest young master listened to Lieu Shi, stopped his hand, didn't even look at Bao Tu, and simply said, From today, with this paper, we have no more debts between us. Madame Hu sneered and said to Liang Guinvu, This is a Hu family matter. I wonder if your excellency could show some face and let me handle it myself. Liang Guinvu nodded in agreement. Seeing the situation turn, Chan quickly ran over, hugged Lieu Shi's legs, and pleaded, I mistook her for my mistress. Please forgive me this once, mistress. I didn't know she was so wicked. I've been in the mansion long, an orphan, while she just arrived. How could I betray you? Lieu Shi laughed and said, Is that so? Tran Nok Xian. Tran Nok Chan. Quite a coincidence, isn't it? Hearing this, Chan backed away, shocked and unable to form a complete sentence. Mistress. Mistress. Lieu Shi crossed her arms and smiled confidently. Surprised? How could I discover your true identities? I checked the mansion's servant purchase contracts and found that Chan's real name is Tran Nok Chan, originally the daughter of the Tran family. To provide money for her older sister Xian to buy cosmetics and clothes, she was manipulated by the Tran parents into selling her youngest daughter as a servant to the Hu family. Chan shook her head. No, it can't be. My older sister told me the Hu family oppressed us and sold me. Lieu Shi sighed. It doesn't matter anymore. I've already given you a chance to turn back. From now on, our master-servant relationship ends here. Your actions will be handled by the imperial envoy. After the incident, everyone gradually dispersed. Before leaving, Lieu Shi didn't forget to punish the servants as a warning. Before Liang Guinvu left, he asked Lieu Shi a few questions. Seeing this, the eldest young master stepped in front of her and whispered to Liang Guinvu, As a man, I know what you're thinking. Get out of the Hu mansion. Don't covet what doesn't belong to you. Lieu Shi didn't understand why Liang Guinvu, who had been cheerful, suddenly turned pale and left angrily. Madame Hu also stared at Lieu Shi for a long time, then burst into loud laughter. You truly keep surprising me more and more, Lieu Shi. Lieu Shi saw everyone off, then told Lin to fetch water to clean the room. The stench of blood made her uncomfortable. As soon as Chan left, the eldest young master suddenly picked her up. He had transformed into his ghost body and whispered into her ear. You're bold. When I wasn't around, where did this scoundrel come from, flirting with my wife? Did he mean Liang Guinvu? Lieu Shi slapped his chest and said, What are you talking about? He's just a guest staying at our mansion for a few days. Then why did you ask him for help instead of calling me? Wasn't I worried about your injury? The eldest young master carried Lieu Shi to his room, not giving her a chance to resist. Young master, put me down. Where are you taking me? Do you want to sleep in a room full of blood? He leaned close to Lieu Shi's ear and whispered, From now on, move into my room. I'll spoil you. Lieu Shi, seeing him like this, half laughed and half cried. You're jealous, aren't you? The eldest young master turned his face away, but his hand still tightly gripped Lieu Shi's waist, as if marking his territory. Lieu Shi reached up, pinched his chin, and teased him. I like you like this. You're really cute. The eldest young master, embarrassed and angry, placed Lieu Shi on the bed and kissed her fiercely. This time, he wasn't as gentle as their first night together. He was rougher, making her unable to breathe. If you keep talking nonsense, don't blame me. Lieu Shi, feeling he wanted to go further, quickly stopped him. No, don't. I'm dirty right now. The eldest young master said. You're not dirty. You're always sweet. Hearing him say such a cheesy line, Lieu Shi blushed furiously. She quickly pushed him away. Let me call Lin to bring hot water first. Lin stood outside the door. Hearing Lieu Shi's voice from the eldest young master's room, she wasn't surprised. When Lieu Shi asked for bathing water, she replied, Yes, mistress. But the firewood is cold now. It'll take a while to heat the water. The eldest young master leaned close to Lieu Shi's ear and whispered, "No need. I'll warm you up later." Lieu Shi felt even more embarrassed, but at this late hour, heating water wasn't easy. She said, "Just prepare a tub of cold water for me." A moment later, Lin and two other servants carried the bathing tub in. Lieu Shi had told the eldest young master to hide on the bed. Otherwise, if they saw him, they'd be sleepless. After the servants left, Lieu Shi warned him, "You stay on the bed." He got off the bed, hugged Lieu Shi from behind, and laughed. "I already said I'd warm the water for you." Lieu Shi never expected him to be so shameless. She was so angry she couldn't speak. You can't do that." Seeing Lieu Shi's embarrassed expression, the eldest young master gently flicked her forehead and laughed. "What are you talking about? What kind of nonsense are you thinking? I really am helping you warm the water. If you bathe in cold water tonight, will you catch a cold tomorrow?" As he spoke, he waved his hand over the tub of water. In an instant, steam rose from the surface. Lieu Shi dipped her finger into the water, feeling its warm temperature. She asked in astonishment, "How can you do this?" The eldest young master slowly explained. "Last month, when fighting the Chong Zhu, I borrowed fire from the will-o'-the-wisps around that area. Later, I fell into water, and my ghost body was destroyed. Unexpectedly, misfortune brought fortune. I advanced to second element ghost, gaining both earth and fire elements within me. I haven't fully harmonized the water element yet, so I've only reached the threshold of third element ghost." Lieu Shi covered her mouth in admiration. "You're truly amazing." Lieu Shi knew he was downplaying it. To reach second element ghost, he must have endured immense hardship over the past half-month. "So, will you reward me for this?" Before Lieu Shi could answer, he picked her up and placed her into the tub, laughing. "Let me bathe you, shall I? A lover's bath. It's been so long since we've done this." Lieu Shi knew he had been deprived for a long time, and she truly cared for him. She only covered her face, not stopping him, letting him do as he pleased. In a short while, water spilled all over the room, a testament to the passionate intimacy of the young couple. Afterward, he held Lieu Shi in his arms, gazing at her beautiful face for a long time. The more he had her, the more he felt it wasn't enough. Each time they finished, he felt immense satisfaction. He whispered to his wife, "I'll have to leave again soon to cultivate into third element ghost. Only by becoming stronger can I protect you." Lieu Shi nestled in his arms like a small cat, drowsy and pouting. "Yes, I'll diligently practice magic at home. I can't fall too far behind you." The eldest young master stroked Lieu Shi's head, affectionately saying, "Good girl. For now, focus on meditation to control the vampire's energy within you. When you have extra time, practice drawing talismans and forming hand seals. I'll leave early tomorrow and return early to you." Hearing he had to leave tomorrow, Lieu Shi felt reluctant. She immediately hugged him tightly. In truth, though they had been married for nearly 4 months, the time they spent together was painfully short. "You don't want to be apart from me?" Lieu Shi nodded, her small head wriggling in his chest, making the eldest young master's heart soften. He continued, "How about I stay with you for 3 more days?" "Humph, yes, I should also make that man leave the mansion sooner." Seeing he was jealous again, Lieu Shi giggled. "I told you, Liang Guinvu already has a fiancé. The way he looks at you isn't right. As a man, I understand. Be good and stay as far away from him as possible for me." With that, his lips covered hers again. His hands began to wander, and he softly laughed. "How about one more time, wife? You're so shameless." Lieu Shi mumbled, only giving in to him. Because of him, the next morning she was utterly exhausted. When Lin brought breakfast, she couldn't even be bothered to pick up her chopsticks. Lieu Shi had grown used to Chan serving her. Not seeing him now, she felt a sense of emptiness. "Please have some porridge, mistress. I was afraid you'd catch a cold from bathing in cold water last night, so I made ginger porridge to prevent illness." Lieu Shi nodded and thanked Lin. She sighed, determined not to think about Chan anymore. The past was gone. She couldn't let her feelings for Chan make her resent or treat Lin poorly. During the day, the eldest young master turned into a ghost spirit. Seeing Lieu Shi eat only a little thin porridge, he said disapprovingly, "You're getting thinner and thinner. If you can't eat meat, at least try to eat more fruits and vegetables." Lieu Shi pursed her lips and replied, "I know." Seeing Lieu Shi's sullen expression, the eldest young master softened. He huffed, "Look at you, saying you know but making that face. I only want the best for you. Women eating more fruits and vegetables is also good for their monthly cycle." Hearing him mention such a delicate topic, Lieu Shi blushed. She decided to focus on her porridge and ignore him. After breakfast, Lieu Shi began practicing magic, not wanting to be lazy even for a single day. The eldest young master stood beside her, offering additional guidance. Until now, Lieu Shi had followed meditation instructions from books. Seeing this, the eldest young master quickly shook his head. Meditation in the mystical arts is a foundational method, tied to a cultivator's entire life. You're being too hasty. Beginners like you should place a candle in front, sit in the lotus position with both feet crossed, and lightly touch the tips of your thumbs together. Your back must be straighter, and your eyes open, not closed. Lieu Shi looked at him pitifully. Isn't it your fault my back hurts? Still, she adjusted her posture, sitting up straight. Her breathing became steady, neither fast nor slow, gradually reaching a state of clarity. After a while, Lieu Shi felt energy flowing along her spine, spreading to every cell. Her mind was free of distracting thoughts. The eldest young master looked at Lieu Shi with satisfaction. She learned quickly, grasping the essence after just 1 or 2 explanations. About an hour later, when Lieu Shi opened her eyes, she felt much more relaxed, as if a cool, refreshing stream had soothed her body. The morning's fatigue and weariness had vanished. Lieu Shi poured herself a cup of tea, sipping it as she asked, "Did you practice magic before? How do you know everything?" The eldest young master pursed his lips and replied, "Yes, I did." Lieu Shi had always been curious about why a talented man like him died so young. She wanted to ask gently, but when she saw his deep, dark eyes, filled with a hint of melancholy, she couldn't bring herself to speak. So, she buried the question in her heart, waiting for the day she grew strong enough for him to finally share his burden with her. The 3 days with him passed quickly. Though Lieu Shi was deeply reluctant, she couldn't follow him. Right now, she was still weak. Following him would only be a burden. The worm god wouldn't easily let go of them. Only within the Hu mansion, protected by its barrier, could the worm god not reach her. These past few days, Liang Guinvu hadn't come to the south courtyard to find Lieu Shi, but he hadn't left the Hu mansion either. Lieu Shi secretly wondered if the imperial envoy had nothing better to do. Every day, Lieu Shi diligently practiced magic. Before sunrise, she began chanting and writing spells, chanting as she wrote. Early morning was precious, ideal for studying and memorizing. The most important aspect of chanting spells was to memorize each line, understand the effect of the spell being learned, and especially have firm belief in it. In the afternoons, Lieu Shi practiced forming hand seals. This required slowness and precision, so Lieu Shi didn't dare rush. Different spells required different hand movements and transitions. A shi was a hand gesture, and a zhuan was the transition from one gesture to the next. Beginners like Lieu Shi would use string wrapped around each finger, practicing repeatedly until the string came loose, completing one session. Forming seals required intense concentration. A single mistake in a gesture would render it ineffective. Without the eldest young master beside her, Lieu Shi devoted all her time and focus to practicing magic. She didn't realize when the golden leaves were gone, replaced by bare, rough tree trunks. Another winter was coming, but this year was different. Lieu Shi was no longer at her birth family's home, but had married into another. Winters in the north were very cold. Early in the morning, Lin brought Lieu Shi a thick, white cotton-padded jacket, as white as snow. Lieu Shi saw the jacket was very delicate, and when she touched it, the fur felt soft. She looked at Lin and asked, "Look at you, what's the rush? Your face is all red." Lin laughed. "Mistress, a hunter brought this cotton-padded jacket to the mansion, saying it was sent by the eldest young master for you. He truly loves you so much." Hearing this, Lieu Shi felt a warm stream flow through her heart. She tightly hugged the jacket, happily saying, "Did you give the hunter a reward?" Lin nodded. "Yes, mistress. Serving you for several months, I've learned a lot about how to treat people." "Oh, right. Today is the winter solstice, mistress." Lin reminded Lieu Shi, who suddenly remembered. Every year on the winter solstice, the Hu family held a grand ancestral ceremony. She had once read that the Hu family's ancestors had deep roots in the Fox clan. It was said that the great-grandmother, originally a 1,000-year-old fox spirit, had willingly given up her core to become immortal, sharing life, aging, illness, and death with the great-grandfather. When Lieu Shi read this legend, she understood why the Hu family had so many talented people. Their ancestral origins were extraordinary. Regarding the Fox clan, she noticed folk tales often mentioned it, but most portrayed the species negatively, like Daji and King Zhou. In truth, all beings were equal. Animals with good intentions who cultivated themselves could achieve even greater accomplishments than humans, who remained mired in the cycle of rebirth. Let me help you try it on, mistress. No matter how you wear it, you'll surely look beautiful. Lin's words interrupted Lieu Shi's thoughts. She nodded in agreement. The eldest young master seemed cold and indifferent on the outside, yet his thoughtfulness was exquisite. The cotton-padded jacket fit her perfectly, as if custom-made for her. That evening, during the ancestral ceremony, besides Madame Hu and Lieu Shi, concubine Ba, and the branch family members all attended. The third young master was away in the capital on business and couldn't return in time. When Lieu Shi arrived, everyone was already present, except Madame Hu hadn't come yet. The concubines from the branch families, seeing Lieu Shi's pure white cotton-padded jacket, felt jealous. Inwardly, they thought, "We thought marrying a dead eldest young master was like a jasmine flower stuck in a dung heap." Yet Lieu Shi not only didn't wither, but grew more beautiful and radiant. Though reluctant, they all bowed respectfully to Lieu Shi when they saw her. Lieu Shi only exchanged a few polite words with them before sitting down to chat with He. As for He, the two had resolved their misunderstandings and become good sisters. Once, He even mentioned the knife theft incident and apologized profusely, saying she had been manipulated by Bao Tu into committing such a wicked act. As for the names Bao Tu and Chan, Lieu Shi had long put them behind her. She knew Madame Hu certainly wouldn't let them live in peace for the rest of their lives. While Lieu Shi was chatting with He, suddenly someone rushed in panicking. "It's terrible. The west courtyard where Madame Hu lives is on fire. Madame Hu is still trapped inside." Immediately, the group, led by Lieu Shi, ran to the west courtyard. Seeing the main room engulfed in flames, everyone was terrified, fearing Madame Hu would likely not survive. "There she is, the elder wife. Seeing your mother-in-law trapped inside, why aren't you rushing in to save her?" The concubine from the branch family said. "That's right. Aren't you going to show filial piety? Only in times of crisis can you see the true heart of a daughter-in-law." Lieu Shi coldly looked at the branch family members. It seemed they were starting to overstep their bounds, trying to force her into a deadly situation. If she didn't go in, she'd be guilty of unfilial conduct. But with such fierce flames, could she possibly survive and come out unscathed? In the end, Lieu Shi still decided to rush in. In this world, nothing was heavier than the sin of unfiliality. Even if Madame Hu had harmed her many times, in everyone's eyes, she was still her mother-in-law. And especially, she was the mother of the man she loved. "Quickly bring a blanket here, and a few more buckets of water." Hearing the elder wife's order, the servants scrambled to find the items. A moment later, they returned with them. Lieu Shi took off her outer cotton-padded jacket and handed it to Lin. Then she poured cold water from a bucket directly onto her body. In the near-freezing weather, her entire body trembled violently. She wrapped the blanket around herself and said, "Pour another layer of water onto the blanket." This was a method Lieu Shi had read about in a book, a way to protect the body for a certain period when rushing into a fire. Without further hesitation, she soaked a cloth in water, covered her face to block smoke and ash from entering her nose, and then charged into the blaze. Lieu Shi pushed the door open and rushed into the room. Flames had already engulfed half the room. The support pillars were charred black. She quickly scanned the room and called out, "Mother, where are you?" "I'm here to save you, Mother." Lieu Shi called until her voice was hoarse, but received no response from Madame Hu. The smoke and fire rushed straight into her nose, making her cough violently. The moisture on the blanket evaporated more and more, and her body grew hotter and hotter. She felt as if the raging fire was about to swallow her whole. "Mother, are you in here?" Lieu Shi kept trying to call out to Madame Hu. At that moment, the central pillar collapsed with a loud crash, nearly hitting her. Fortunately, she quickly dodged to the side. "Mistress, hurry out. Madame isn't in there. She's right here." Just as Lieu Shi was unsure whether to stay and keep searching for Madame Hu or run out, Lin's shout reached her ears. Hearing this, Lieu Shi breathed a sigh of relief, preparing to rush out. But another pillar crashed down, blocking the exit. Flames quickly spread to the main door, sealing off Lieu Shi's escape route. Only then did Lieu Shi realize she had fallen into someone else's trap. But the person had exploited her psychology, forcing her to rush in to save Madame Hu, even though she knew it was a trap. Toxic smoke accumulated more and more in the room, making Lieu Shi's breathing increasingly difficult. She forced herself to stay calm, and find a way to escape. She absolutely couldn't die so easily. She still had to escape safely and wait for the eldest young master to return. Fortunately, the fire hadn't reached the window yet. Lieu Shi decided to take a risk, quickly running toward the window. As she passed by a display cabinet for antiques, she accidentally bumped into a flower vase, causing it to fall and shatter on the ground. Crack, crack. The cabinet suddenly slid to the side, revealing a pitch-black secret passage. Never would Lieu Shi have imagined that madam whose room concealed a secret tunnel. The mechanism to open it must have been the porcelain flower vase. By accidentally touching it, Lieu Shi had activated it, causing the secret passage door to open. Lieu Shi hesitated for a few seconds, looking at the window, then at the secret passage. The distance from her to the window was quite far, and the room was about to collapse. In the end, she squeezed through and ran into the hidden passage behind the cabinet. Her intuition strongly told her that behind this secret door lay the secret madam who had long concealed. As soon as Lieu Shi stepped into the secret passage, the roof collapsed with a roar, and the raging fire buried everything. The secret passage door closed automatically at the same time, becoming a wall separating Lieu Shi from the outside world. Knowing she was temporarily safe, Lieu Shi removed the blanket, which had been slightly singed by the fire. The air in the secret passage was quite cold, or rather, somewhat eerie, as energy had accumulated here, and sunlight couldn't reach. Moreover, it was winter, making the air in the underground chamber even colder. It was too dark, and Lieu Shi couldn't see the path ahead. She could only wave her hands in front of her to determine the direction. She felt a solid object, like a handrail of a staircase, and followed it, feeling her way down. After a few steps, Lieu Shi was certain this was a staircase, but not an exit. It led deeper underground. She turned around to look behind her, but saw only impenetrable darkness. Rather than standing there waiting for someone to rescue her, Lieu Shi decided to go deeper to see what secret madam who was hiding. Only then did she remember. During her soul's journey to the underworld, the ancestor had mentioned a secret passage in the west courtyard. Could this be the one? After that, the eldest young master had interrupted him. Thinking of this, Lieu Shi became even more determined to find out for herself what secret the Hu family was hiding. Still, she remained very cautious, stepping carefully one step at a time. Lieu Shi didn't know how long she had walked. At the last step of the staircase, before her was a solid wooden wall. She felt around it, but found nothing unusual. Just a solid wooden wall with not a single crack. The principle of those who designed secret passages was that if there was an entrance, there must be an exit. It was just a matter of whether a person had the skill to find it. Lieu Shi scratched her head. Clearly, this wooden wall was so solid that even if she poked it with the small knife she carried at her waist until next year, it wouldn't pierce through. Lieu Shi placed her hand on the wall, trying to sense it. She felt a flow of spiritual energy intertwined deep within the wood. If her guess was correct, this wooden wall must have a spirit. Thinking of this, Lieu Shi laughed and said, "Living things can be tamed. I only fear you are a lifeless object." With that, she took out the small knife she always carried at her waist for self-defense, attached a white talisman to the blade, and forcefully stabbed it into the wooden wall. Immediately, the wooden wall trembled. Lieu Shi could feel it shaking. She shouted, "If you don't open the door for me right now, metal overcomes wood. Let's see how long you can resist." Sure enough, a moment later, the wooden wall, like a curtain, automatically split open, revealing a passage for Lieu Shi. Lieu Shi sheathed her knife, cautiously stepped inside. Finally, Lieu Shi could see some light. Along the corridor, lanterns were hung on both sides. Lieu Shi sniffed and smelled a pungent odor like oil, but she knew this wasn't ordinary oil. It was made from mermaid oil. Legend had it that using mermaid skin to make oil could create a wick that burned for 1,000 years without going out. Today, Lieu Shi had finally seen it. The deeper she went, the wetter the ground beneath her feet became, like mud. She had to walk very slowly to avoid slipping. Suddenly, something cold and slimy clung to her calf. She quickly stopped and lifted her skirt to look. She saw a slimy, blood-red creature clinging tightly to her leg. Terrified, Lieu Shi tried to pull it off with her hand, but it was useless. It was too slippery, and she couldn't pull it off. Lieu Shi took another step. It seemed she had stepped on something hard. She looked down and saw several scattered skeletons, not the normal white bones, but pitch black. And it seemed the creature clinging to her leg lived in a swarm. It made a chee-chee sound, and immediately, The muddy ground behind Lieu Shi rustled as if hundreds of creatures were crawling toward her. Lieu Shi silently realized it was bad. She quickly disregarded everything and ran forward as fast as she could. Accidentally, while running, she tripped over a dry skeleton and fell to the ground. Lieu Shi knew she couldn't run any longer. She sat up, turned around, pulled out a few talismans, and decided to fight to the death with the parasitic creatures. At that moment, a dark figure appeared before her, throwing several round objects far away. The parasitic creatures immediately released Lieu Shi and chased after the round objects. Lieu Shi breathed a sigh of relief, clasped her hands, and said, "Thank you, sir, for saving me." As she spoke, she looked up and was shocked by the person before her. It was a middle-aged man, his entire skin dry and cracked like the bark of an ancient tree. From his fingernails and toenails, tree roots protruded. And on his back were many branches sticking out, with no leaves or flowers, just branches. You are." The man, seeing this, replied to Lieu Shi. His voice was hoarse and difficult to hear, likely because he had been imprisoned here for so long, never speaking to anyone, making his voice so rough and dull. "I am Hu, the former steward of the Hu family." The steward of the Hu family? This man must have committed a grave crime to be imprisoned by Madame Hu in such a dark, sunless place for so long, turning him into a figure neither human nor ghost.